This time on Video Game Tango, we talk about Paradox's new subscription service, the upcoming Metal Gear Solid movie, and the Halo TV series. After the break, we talk about the upcoming Arkham Knight and CD Projekt Red's new Witcher Saga announcement, followed by graphics cards actually being in stock and being cheaper, and what that means for gamers, as well as Pokemon Arceus and Nintendo's woes and fuckery.
This is Nick, and I have procured a set of tiny clubs, indeed the kind with tiny nubs, so that my irons are not always flying off the backswing.
I'm Snek Pilskin, star of Mineral Equipment Softer 2.
My name's Russ, and my roommate, and your podcast host snores like a goddamn Gorgon from another time.
My name is Gorgon from another time. Thanks for listening and watching. Let's get started.
Let's go.
Last week, we teased it,
We did.
and Josh is back
I am back.
You've been
to fill you in.
Edge of your seat.
I've been edging.
I've been edging too. I mean, I feel like it's going to work out for me in the long run. So last week I had tried out Paradox's new subscription service. I had none of the Crusader Kings DLC, and in about 5 minutes time, and for $5, I had well over $130 worth of DLC. And so far, I have been having a blast with it. Now, I still need to administer one test, because the cool thing Paradox does, and it is awfully cool and generous of them, is when you're playing with buddies, whoever's hosting, if they have all the DLCs, you get to play with their DLCs. Mm-hmm. So if this subscription service also provides that, then I will say this is a step in a good direction. Now, however, I do have a little caveat to that. However, if it's moving in the direction of we're not going to let you share your DLCs because we now offer this subscription service and we would prefer that everybody just pay us $5, now that's stingy. And I like that less. Now, I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but in my cynical heart, that's what I feel, that it might be a thing. But I still have to run the test to see if me having the DLCs on a subscription will still provide them to people I'm playing with. But if they do that, then I'd say that's a big win.
Yeah, I think it's still up in there. They're trying things. They're trying to find a new means of revenue. So I don't think anything's super set in stone yet.
Yeah. And it's cool because they have several titles that are included. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's kind of cool. It is a lot of content for $5 a month.
Yeah, no, and if you for something, I mean, like CK2 right now is free on Steam. So you can just go download the game for free, pay $5, and have all the DLCs for it, and get a feel for it, see if you like it. And if you burn out on it in a month, which, I mean, hasn't happened for me yet, but, definitely could happen for some, then you just end your subscription. It's literally a button click, easy to find, easy to do. I don't know. I like it so far.
Can you play Crusader King 3 on it?
I don't know if they have the subscription for that. So it's only for the DLC for the game you own. So gotcha. It is per game, it looks like.
Oh, so it's per game.
It is per game, which...
If you're playing more than one Paradox game at a time, like, teach me, master.
Sure.
Very true. Very true. It is tough to be engrossed in more than one of those games at a time.
Yeah. I mean, they're massive in scope.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's at 4X, baby.
Yeah. Well, in other news, we're getting a Metal Gear Solid movie.
What?
Looks like Oscar Isaac, who played Poe Dameron in the last trilogy of Star Wars, is set to play Solid Snake.
Who's going to be the cave demon?
Well, that's probably the crab.
It's going to be Dr. Zoidberg.
Okay. Most recently, probably notably seen in Elden Ring, previously Skyrim. So
he played Mudcrab.
Yeah. Mudcrab. I mean, there was a little bit of cosmetics added, but
canceled.
Sure, he did. Why not?
It has been a long time, and remember, people grow. Crabs molt.
They molt.
They molt. And he shed that skin.
He's really molted as an actor.
he's
Really
turned-
come into his own.
Turn a new leaf. Okay.
For all those that don't know what we're talking about here, there was an old Metal Gear Solid skit. I don't remember who made it, but it was like a old Flash skit where Solid Snake runs into what he calls a cave demon. It's a crab. It breaks his knife.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah,
It's good.
If you just search for Metal Gear Solid Broke My Knife, you'll find it.
I mean, honestly,
battle.
man, Oscar Isaac breaking into the nerddom pretty hard, isn't he, guys? I mean, he's in Star Wars.
I'm trying to just envision Poe Dameron as
He's
Snake.
Papa. He's Papa Leto in Dune.
He did really good as Leto.
He did.
He's Moon Knight in Disney in the new
Marvel
series.
Yeah.
And now he's gonna be Solid Snake. I mean, honestly, I
It's been
think
pretty hard.
we got to get these guys. Like, we need to get him and Henry Cavill.
He's a
in
good
the same
actor,
room.
and I think he can probably pull off a Solid Snake. I mean, Solid Snake is purposely campy, right? Like, he's designed after like Kurt Russell, Escape from New York, kind of,
Yeah, absolutely.
So
those are the vibes.
yeah. So I don't think that that's a particularly challenging role.
We couldn't get Kurt Russell for it.
Well, the Kurt's a bit old.
He's still in Antarctica.
Do you remember what happened when they brought him in for Avengers or Guardians?
Yeah.
I mean, it's was it? I like Kurt Russell.
The plot of that Avengers movie was terrible.
It was.
All the things with Kurt Russell were shitty.
Yeah, but Kurt Russell was pretty great.
Okay.
He was fine. Again, it's not a challenging role.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Okay. So you turn Kurt Russell into a CG monster, and he does pretty well.
He was he was great in Hateful Eight.
It was a little overboard.
He was good in Hateful Eight. I agree with that.
Yeah, my concern for a Metal Gear Solid movie isn't this actor or that actress. It's what tack are they going to take with it? Again, this isn't the first time I said this. It's a very Japanese game series.
Yeah.
I don't mean that qualitatively. I mean that just descriptively. Like, they have to draw a line somewhere between what you were describing as like camp and like, if there's no camp at all, now it's just a bad action movie.
Yeah.
Right? If there is camp, is that going to go over well with the international audience?
Would you like
I mean, the Metal
don't
Gear Metal Gear series does really well in the Western audience. So I think if they can make that happen on the silver screen, then I think they can. I think like there's a lot of room for error, right? But I think that translates.
I
Pretty
think
well.
one of my main concerns for Metal Gear Solid, anything that wasn't a series, is that they're not going to have enough time to develop a plot that has room for enough camp, but also enough seriousness to get that kind of feel.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
like the Metal Gear Solid games are known for like having twists and turns and plot hooks that like you get 3/4 of the way and they're like, this thing we're going to describe for the next 30 minutes is going to completely change your view on the American military complex industrial system, you know?
I think it, so here's my thoughts on it is that you have the Metal Gear Solid series, which is essentially playable movies.
Yeah.
Like there is more time spent in cutscenes than actual gameplay. And I think if they can just take that, put it in movie form, I think it'll be fine.
It's not what they're going to do.
Well, we'll see. I mean, that's what I hope for, right?
Yeah.
On Metal Gear Solid, it's funny that this comes up because that's my new meta on DayZ lately. So I've been jumping into the day one, the really populated servers,
Okay.
and introducing myself as Snake Plissken.
Oh, okay.
And my entire goal is to find the Shagohod because it's a fun word to say. And when I can be like, have you seen the Shagohod? Have you heard of the Shagohod? It usually gets a good laugh or a lot of confusion. But I do a lot of like crouch walking and stuff, trying to be silent and then like making myself obvious to other players. It means I die a lot. But if these guys aren't KOS and they're like, hey, friendly, and I'm like, the name's Snake. Snake Plissken. So like I've been searching for the Shagohod, and then I'll do something like lay fully prone in the grass and I can't be seen.
Can I have your dog tags?
Oh, I offer them lessons in CQC. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've been going full Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake with it.
That's great.
Yeah.
So would it be an easy success just to adapt like one of the stories as the movies?
No.
And like you could just like play like essentially the game as a movie, or are they gonna have to do
The games are too long to make that, I think, successful.
Okay.
I think if they were to do the first part of something like Metal Gear Solid 2, where it's Snake on the ship, infiltrating the ship and finding Metal Gear,
Yeah.
then I think that is, you could do that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Well, I mean, because this isn't a show to get new people interested in Metal Gear Solid,
Yeah,
right?
this is for
I mean, this
Metal
is
Gear
for
Solid,
fans.
yeah.
This is for fans.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there doesn't.
Do we know that? Who's making it?
Well, I mean,
So it's-
where's the interest otherwise if it's not for fans? Is that when was the last time they made a new fucking Metal Gear Solid?
I don't know,
game?
man. Didn't they make a Blood Rain movie?
Yeah.
When like Blood Rain was popular and had fans.
It was a popular game at the time, mostly because of the over sexualization of the main character.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, nobody played it for the gameplay. It's like Tomb Raider, you know.
Yeah, no, you wanted to be a sexy vampire lady killing Nazis. Who doesn't aspire to be that?
To me, Metal Gear Solid, Snake Plissken and his arc through like the first half of the games, like literally like when you're playing them, the first half of a given game, you have that kind of like hero who is edging superhero, but isn't. Like he's extremely well focused and he's not hard or not easy to deceive, and he's really good at what he does. But he's not Master Chief. He's not Mario. He's not Superman. Of course, that changes in some games.
Yeah.
You know, you get that kind of humor and, like you said, off the wall stuff. But I'm thinking to myself, like, what would I want to see in a Metal Gear Solid movie? I would want to see this guy who's, you know, through the action shown to be extremely competent at what he does, but not to a John Wick level.
Yeah.
Like, show him going through turmoil and having to think on his feet and do these kinds of things. And that's really the only reason I think I'd go see a Metal Gear Solid movie, is if they could pull off who Snake is as a person. This guy who's, you know, peak of human performance in these few particular select categories, but he's not infallible.
Yeah.
Because Lord knows I died a lot.
You die a lot in Metal Gear games.
I died a lot in those games.
So I'm of two minds, right? Like what I would really want to see is capturing the camp and the humor of the Metal Gear Solid series. I don't know that you can translate that into a movie
I don't
without
think
it
there's
being
enough time.
bad.
They would have to just do a couple little nods,
Yeah.
like show
Hiding in a
him,
box.
like in a montage of he's getting ready, have him put a bandana on, and
Sure.
then wink at the camera. That's
Yeah.
all you need to do. You know, we will know. You know, because if you got an hour and a half long movie, you know, these games are 20, 30, 40, 50, 80 hours long, depending on what you do in them. You know, it's hard to boil a lot of that down into an hour and a half and still try to keep everything together.
Yeah.
It just concerns me. I don't know. I just, we've seen so many, like we've had 24, like how many cool action stealth hero bro TV shows have there been in the last 10, 20 years? A lot, probably.
Yeah.
So
That brings up the point that I think a Metal Gear Solid miniseries would probably be a better choice than
yeah, you have
than
so
a
much more room
feature length
to
movie.
breathe,
Yeah.
right. You could actually develop the side characters and like have a good plot twist.
Yeah.
You know, like we got with the first couple Metal Gears, and
You know what else is getting like a multimedia expansion away
What?
from video games? Elden Ring.
Is it really?
oh,
Yeah, apparently they announced that they want to expand that into other forms of media. What that really entails is kind of undefined at the moment,
Sure.
but maybe some sort of show, animated series, or even a book.
Honestly, like an anime, a la the why can't I think of the Castlevania series? I think would be could be really good.
I agree. Yep.
I think it would fit that art style, and
I really hope they don't offer a bunch of money to Martin to write a fucking novel for him, because he's got other things he needs to be working on.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, he does. One of my coworkers raised an interesting prospect. They're like, do you think he's nervous trying to finish the book with so much like writing on it that he just keeps like after HBO shit the bed so fucking hard into a Starbucks cup, you fucks, that he's nervous about trying to finish the series in a way that will leave fans pleased? And I was like, no, he just keeps working on other things all the fucking time. Damn it. Maybe. I mean, fuck. There was a lot of people, invested.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think that obviously there's more pressure, but it always struck me as that he had a general idea of what his whole story was going to be start to finish.
You think it's he just likes working on like world building and
I think it's easy to get lost in, like, first of all of his books had a fairly long gap between them to begin with. I mean, Game of Thrones stuff didn't really take off in its popularity until HBO optioned it. And that was on like book 3 already.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember I was like reading the first book when like maybe hints of a show were gonna like be around or something. But yeah, it took a while.
I don't even think that's accurate. I think that, by the time Game of Thrones was even remotely in our circle, the book had already been optioned. Like when you go down to Barnes and Noble to buy the book, like one of the books, it'd have a fucking sticker on it that said, now or soon to be an HBO series, right? Mm-hmm. But that HBO series didn't come around for like another decade. That's how long ago they optioned it.
Yeah.
It was a long time running. But yeah, and I think the first one was written in the 80s. Like literally the first. Dude, I'm Googling it right now.
No, that's way too old. That's like some Robert Jordan shit there, homie.
Dude, I'm thinking that's what it was.
That's some Wheel of Time bullshit right there.
Multimedia games. 2 things I've read. 2 things about Halo. One I've read. One I noticed thanks to Reddit.
1991, so just out of the 80s.
There was a big kind of article spree about the... Oh, gosh, I should cite my sources. The director, the writer, the lead guy, Mr. Halo himself.
Mr. Bungie?
I believe his name is 434 Studios. Mm-hmm. He has said that when creating the show...
Showrunner Stephen Kane.
Showrunner. Son of John Running, the inventor of running. Mm-hmm. They did not consult the games. He goes on to expound on that, saying that they kind of half didn't want to step on toes, half wanted to do their own thing, and it sounded like a lot of PR bullshit for a huge concern.
So real quick, I'll read, this is from Bounding Into Comics, what Nick is talking about. The red flags continue to fly for Paramount Plus's upcoming Halo series, as in a recent interview, showrunner Stephen Kane has revealed that despite penning over 265 drafts of the live-action adaptation, he and the writing team did not, quote, look or talk about, unquote, the original games in any capacity.
Yeah. It's one thing to take a soundbite. I don't want to take them out of context, but from the few articles I read that all kind of went over the same interview, I felt like he was trying to get across that they wanted to do their own thing and they didn't want to like step on toes and all this, like I said earlier. But like, it's a game series. You wouldn't go to make Harry Potter and say, we didn't read the books. We didn't want to step on any toes. We want to do our own thing.
Did you see Harry
Potter?
So
we know there's Harry Potter. There's a Dumblebee. A
Bumbledore.
Bill Cosby, the house elf. And that's the feeling I'm getting.
And Hangry the Giant.
And he says, "You're a sorcerer, Harry.
You're a wizard, Harry.
You're a wizard."
The Giant.
Broke Josh. Now, I'm not one to say that like the majority of games don't have the depth that most books do. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not going to get into that. But Halo is a game series, and a lot of people have it very close to their heart. And to say that you've like, what did you look into? The books? Like the third-party Halo novels? Like the weird side canon? If you didn't, then what are you basing?
The books are canon.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but so are the World of Warcraft books. But, I mean, you get what I'm trying to say. Like, if you didn't look at the games, what did you look at?
If they used the books, I'd be okay with that.
They looked at the cover. They looked at the game manual from the first Halo.
Yeah.
The full color game manual.
9 of the 10 pages are divided to like describe the weapons. And on top of that, you said 200 something drafts. They said like that's something to be proud of. No, that's extremely concerning.
Yeah.
Right. That tells me, one, that you're not taking any of the plots from the mainline games, which makes sense because you just said you're not taking anything from the games. So you're making up a new plot, right? And you couldn't get it right in 200 something tries. It's not to be proud of. Oh, yeah, well, I did take this test 265 times, and even though I failed every single time, the 257th time, that's going to be the one, right?
I feel like you're just going to have to end up looking at it like it's not Halo. You're just like, ooh, cool, Space Marine.
The point is just a cash grab at that point. I'm just
I mean,
tired.
a Space Marine show is still cool.
Not if
like a
it's
Starship
like
Troopers
you could
kind
say
of
that
thing.
about Boba Fett. He's like a weird side space marine, and that whole show was about these fucking Power Rangers on Vespas. You know,
That was one scene, and it really hurt my feelings. But we're gonna leave Star Wars out of this. We're talking about Halo. Okay, do not.
I mean,
So-
that's they can still make a good show
Yeah.
with Halo.
they could.
Without
I
it
hope
being-
they do. I just like. Again, it's like when they started making X-Men movies. I'm like, cool, there is so much you can draw from when you're going to make an X-Men movie. And then they just like invented a pile of feces.
Here's the thing.
But you also have to always reference the actual Phoenix storyline in every X-Men movie you make. Mm-hmm. So,
Anyways,
Unless they were going to further the Halo storyline, make content for what happens after the events of Halo Infinite or between some of the Halo games, which has already been done like canonically in the books, then they're just rehashing content. And I honestly don't think that Halo, the game, translates very well to movies. I wouldn't want to watch a mission that I've done already in a Halo game done on the silver screen just because I don't think it would be as cool.
I see what you're saying, but I don't think that's their only option. Just because they haven't looked at, let me try to rephrase what you said. So you're saying if they didn't do something from the games, then they'd have to like fit something into the canon in between games, which has already been done. When I say they haven't looked at the games, I'm not saying that they should do one of the games as a show.
Yeah.
I'm saying they haven't considered the source material.
Gotcha.
They don't, whether you agree whether Halo 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever is good or not, like, you don't say, I'm going to make Lord of the Rings and I'm not going to read any of the books.
So, like, I think about this. We've seen the trailer for the Halo show. Clearly, they're pulling from something because everything about it seemed Halo-y.
I was gonna say it looks like Halo.
What did they pull from?
Well,
I don't know, but I mean,
Yeah.
at least they couldn't have just made that shit up off
that.
of
That to me seems like it could be just an off the fucking cuff statement, and it could just be about story. It's
they
like we're
are still using the people, like they have liaisons from 343 that are guiding them in, like they provide the models, they provide,
Says who?
that stuff. Says the showrunner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if they want to make up a Halo story where it's like, okay, here's Master Chief. He's introduced in the first episode and he's doing cool stuff. And then there's a plot and the plot doesn't tie into the games at all. That's fine. I don't care. Make up a side canon.
Based on what I've read, that's what we're getting.
Yeah, that's okay. But like, again, if you're not taking anything from the source material, make Space Marine the TV show. Don't make it Halo.
I think. I recently had Wheel of Time come out, and it was not initially what I expected. Now, that's not to say that I didn't enjoy it, because I wound up really enjoying the show, but they're definitely taking and telling a story in the backdrop of this setting with a lot of the basic points, but it's definitely not the same story, right? And they could be doing a very similar thing to Halo here, where it's not going to be the Halo that you would necessarily say it's Halo, but it's going to be Master Chief. It's going to be Covenant. They're going to be ass kicking, and it's going to be in a flavor that you remember, that is fine. Now, it may not be a story exactly that you remember.
The story
But,
Halo is,
I mean, but like everything I've seen from it so far, I'm like, that looks fucking cool. That looks like a Halo. That looks like Halo. So
we talked about it a little bit last night when Colin was over and stuff, and I would make an argument that like the Halo storyline is not fantastic at its base stuff, especially like when it initially started. You have essentially alien killing Doom guy, right? You drop him on a planet, he's a fucking unstoppable alien killing machine, and he saves the day every time. And as the games have gone progressively on, the story's getting a little more convoluted, and they're adding so much third-party content that you have to go and actually read to know what's going on, to the point where I played Infinite, and Colin also played Infinite, Andy touched Infinite. We had no idea what the fuck was going on when that game started, and barely had an idea of what was going on by the time it ended, because so much of it was spaced out amongst all the other Halo franchise content. So when I hear that the Halo show is doing some sort of alternate timeline own story situation, I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you can make it feel like Halo and it's well produced and entertaining, like that's really all you need to do from that. I feel like the bar isn't as high as it would normally be with something that has such strong nostalgia value, but because the thing that I think that I take from Halo that is so memorable for me, a lot of it is just the gravitas of a situation rather than what was actually going on in that situation.
I was just going to bring up, like, you know, the moment I played through the Halo 2 storyline, we got the game from the mall, waited there midnight, got home, we played it for 12 hours straight and beat it. Like, the Halo 2 storyline was like fucking whatever, all over the place. Fucking, I'm fighting a giant dead plant. But the feel of Halo was, I'm this really, really, really efficient Marine in something way larger. And as an outside observer of the narration of the story with Master Chief as my vessel, and the scale of Halo felt immense, even if it wasn't. Even
the first time that they like reveal the Halo itself.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like I said, it's not so much the story. It's like that heavy moment. Good
gravitas.
soundtrack, the fucking way it's presented to you.
If they can do that in a show, great. I'm just concerned. Like, we've had a decade of them trying to make this fucking show, if not more. And if we get a fucking another, you know, blood rain, like, I'm just gonna be pissed. I'm going to be pissed because you've had so many opportunities to make something Halo, and if the one we end up getting is what I'm expecting they're gonna make.
Well, I'm just saying, dude, the first time Master Chief walks in, dun, 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 like, it's good. You're going to get some movement in that. You're going to get some movement in it. It's going to happen.
If we know anything about new media, though, it's that if this one doesn't do good, there will be another one by another company starring a new guy.
Or I mean, cancel it halfway through the second season.
Yeah, but we'll get another one in 4 or 5 years. I mean,
I'd say it's rare they cancel stuff mid-season.
Nowadays,
they will finish it.
What is this, HBO?
Yeah.
Paramount.
I know.
No,
I was making a
that
joke
was a
about.
joke.
Yeah, HBO cancels everything. They're like, dude, this is doing really good. This is an excellent show. People seem to love it. Let's end this. We're done.
I'm still pissed about that fucking, what was that circus one?
Carnival?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Everyone's
It might be a little late now.
I don't care.
Listen, and you say bring it back, but we still haven't watched the Deadwood movie, so.
I have.
Well,
There's no magic in Deadwood other than how fast those pigs eat those bodies.
yeah.
There's plenty of magic in Deadwood.
Next topic? Or I got more to rant about Halo unless we want to.
Go ahead and rant about Halo. We only have a few minutes before break.
Okay. Another thing. Just red flags. Red flags like you would see on a fucking dating website. It does not bother me on the exact level that Cortana does not look like Cortana. What bothers me is the need to change it. And it's been changed again because they haven't considered the game's material. Like, that's the only argument I can think of that she doesn't look like Cortana. She's not a blue hologram. She's this weird CG looking live person. There's no reason to make that choice other than to change it for the sake of changing things. Or you have considered the source material so poorly, you don't even know what Cortana is supposed to look like. Those are red flags to me.
She's like a blue meanie, right?
I disagree. They're sticking with the tradition of Halo by having Cortana be different than, because she changes from Halo to Halo, of course, how she looks. And
or even the same Halo in the remaster.
Yeah,
so.
or even So like I feel like they're staying with very much the spirit of Halo.
What do you mean they changed the way she looks?
Well, I mean,
Every
she's got
game.
better look. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
but
just got
the
better.
graphics are being upgraded every Halo.
I mean, in the first Halo, she's purple.
The whole point is that
Everyone
she's a
knows that
hologram.
the first Xbox couldn't fucking render blue.
Couldn't do blue, other than the sky.
I want you to look at this
grunts
picture.
and-
Let me find it. I just had it. It's right here. Open
Look at
link
all the
in the
different
tab.
Cortanas down
Yeah,
there.
and they're all blue purple holograms. And then we get this. That's a woman.
There's blue.
You don't need to play devil's advocate. It's okay for them to make a mistake, Josh.
Now, what I do appreciate is so I was wrong when I talked about it last time. Is I read that Natasha McElhone, I don't know how to say her last name,
I don't know.
McElhone, was playing Cortana. Now, I was wrong in that. That was poor reporting on my part.
Okay.
She's actually being played by Jen Taylor, who is
that
the
name
voice.
sounds more
She is the voice actress for Cortana.
Oh,
Okay, that's cool.
Which I appreciate.
Make her blue. Make her a hologram.
Yeah.
Like, what if they made Master Chief his visor was a metal grate? Like, that would just be weird. You're like, why would you make that change? Why is Master Chief's armor bright red? Because
Well-
we decided to change it.
Well, it's because he's on Red Team this time. So
Yeah, exactly.
so I do want to mention a spoiler. It's very, very minimal.
bro, dude.
It's all over the fucking news cycle. If you were doing your job, you would know it already.
Taking off his helmet or whatever.
He takes off his helmet. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's a face reveal for Master Chief.
Yeah,
I don't like that, but I mean that kind of dude. That's for
It
the
doesn't
actor.
matter.
I don't care.
For me, it's kind of
Yeah.
a nothing burger because it's in a separate timeline, right? But
Yeah,
Separate
it's an-
timeline, and they don't reveal him in the game because you're playing as Master Chief.
yeah,
they want to
it's the whole
maintain
point.
that like premise that you are the Master Chief.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do a TV show, then fine, make him look however he
Also,
wants.
the
I don't care.
actor who's playing Master Chief wants fucking people to know who the fuck he is,
Poe
and he
Dameron.
deserves that.
It's Poe Dameron from Star Wars.
well, guys, unless we have more Halo to talk about, it is about time for break. And I would love to crack open the door for a little bit so we
Yeah,
can.
no, dude,
Dude, my balls are so
I'm
my
off.
bowels are so sweaty.
I'm turning into a real sweaty Betty in here.
Yeah, man.
I'm angry.
You're
I can. Dude, I feel like that's why it's so warm in here. I can feel it coming off
it's
of you, homie.
emanating from your wet dungeon walls. All right, so we will be right back.
So Gotham Knight has a release date, which is going to be the 25th of October. I've been kind of counting down and waiting for the next Batman game. And that one seems like it's going to be a lot of fun.
It does.
I don't have much to say on that other than I'm excited that I get something to look forward to in October, video game wise.
I mean, we're gonna play that together, right?
I mean, if we can, I'd be super down to do that.
Yeah, it's co-op, dude.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of it.
I mean more the fact that we are terrible adults and have difficulty scheduling anything
Yeah.
but this podcast every week.
True facts.
I mean that is also true, but I feel like if anyone can bring us together, it's going to be Batman.
That's fair. He's the world's greatest detective.
He is. And
He's probably not really much in that game.
No, he's not in that game. Batman's not in
still-
that game.
I guarantee he's in the game.
He's in the game. You got to. I feel
just
like
don't play as him.
you're going to be saving him. That's obviously going to be the goal.
Sure,
But dude,
maybe.
I'm really excited to play as Red Hood. Red Hood is one of my favorite members of the Bat family. So I'm excited for that. I mean, you mentioned Nightwing. I mean, Nightwing's also cool. So.
Yeah, it was funny. So I had this thought the other night because I was telling Colin hadn't played any of the Arkhams.
Oh, he's
And
missing out.
He is missing out, and I was like, "Oh my god!" The first thing I said is like, "It's one of the best game series that I've played in a while." Like, they're so much fun. They're not like crazy innovative or anything like that. They're just extremely enjoyable to play. But then as I was telling him, I was like, "Well, you can skip the first one; it's no big deal."
Yeah.
Because they really it was new, and then they polished it in 2, and 2 is definitely the best, and then
is.
and 3 is really just a lot of what's in 2 to the point where it's a little bit much. So I was like, man, maybe the series wasn't as great as I was claiming it to be. But the second one, that's a really fun game. It's like the right mix of everything. So we'll see which one this lands on for Gotham Knight, if it's
I mean,
a
the
1, 2, or 3.
last time it went on that big sale, and that's the cool thing about it is they put that whole series on sale. So sometimes you can pick that motherfucker up for like $12.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole series, $12. It's 3 really fun
getting kinda
games
old
right
now.
now.
Yeah.
It is getting kind of old now. But the last time it went on sale, I picked it up. I played all the way through it. It was like the first game, a little janky. There's some jank in there, but
It's still good.
It's still good. It was still a lot of fun to play. I had a lot of fun all the way through that series.
I just can't objectively say that all three of them are created equal.
No,
it is kind of
the second one is definitely
curve.
it is the better of the games. But I enjoyed Arkham, the fourth one, where you
the fourth one.
you can play tank with the bat tank, or is that just the
That's
third one?
the third one.
Is that really
There's
just
only
the third
three
one?
of those.
Is it
pretty
really only
sure.
three?
Yeah. That's the one where you have to there's multiple times you have to fight other tanks in the city.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's
'Cause
Arkham
they're-
3, the
okay.
third one. Arkham City.
Yeah, Arkham Knight.
Arkham City.
It's Arkham Knight.
Is it
It's
Arkham
the
Knight?
tank one?
Don't look at me. I Googled Arkham the fourth
Yeah.
one. I'm trying to figure out how many there are.
Anyways, the other news pertinent to me other than that is, of course, this happened last week and stuff, but CD Projekt Red announced the new Witcher saga,
Yeah.
which isn't much information on that other than their Unreal 5, and they're partnering with Epic Games to really streamline their development process.
Josh?
Hopefully that's a thing that helps them.
You're making a face, Josh.
I don't like Epic. They can suck a bag of Richards.
They make arguably the best game engine.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I am currently unhappy with my recent experience there. So
Doesn't Epic also pay more to developers than
Yeah.
Steam does? Yeah. Anyhow,
I also don't think they have exclusivity
it's
to the
not.
games.
It's not.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I was going to add is that they specifically made sure to let people know this isn't like a PC exclusive
Yeah.
deal.
okay, well that's nice.
It's not an Epic Game Store exclusive deal either,
Okay.
from what I've read.
Yeah.
So-
it's mostly just to kind of help.
Okay,
them.
well that assuages my grumpy face.
There you go.
Yeah.
Run the Unreal 5 engine stuff and
That's pretty cool.
whatnot. And considering that, disappointingly, CD Projekt Red has not had a great track record with putting out complete, polished, tested games, that maybe the help to their production system and their whatnot will be notable. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I've got a long time to wait. I mean, there's a part of me that's like, what do you do if you're not going to run it off of Geralt? Is it going to be still Geralt or what? What are we doing? I mean,
Well, it seems like so. I read a little bit further and found that CD Projekt Red, in their little teaser image, I'm sure you saw.
yeah,
That's not a wolf. That's a lynx.
sure.
So, being that it's a lynx, that feels to me like they're probably going to have a new character,
So
a new main character.
Here's the weird thing about the Witcher series.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really any sort of indication that there are there's only the barest of nods to the fact that other schools exist in the novels,
Mm-hmm.
to the point to where it's arguable if they do or if it's just kind of a different way that they train in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
But the games obviously make it seem like there's multiple schools, different places. So
Do you think so? I didn't read the books and only touched the games. So, do you think there's a possibility that Geralt takes over the academy?
Well, so the weird thing is that there's not supposed to be a new way to make new Witchers.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So maybe the new saga is that they start making Witchers again, but
they find a way to make
I don't know.
Witcher 2.0.
If anything, I see maybe they're going to want to jump back in time. Maybe?
I was just about to bring that up. Do you think this is actually going to go? It's going to be a new game, obviously, but they're going backwards in time to where Witchers are being created, and
That would be interesting.
I mean,
because you could go back. I don't know the time frames off the top of my head for how stuff stretched out over the timeline, because the Geralt stuff is about 100 years, but they've been hundreds of years have happened since the conjunction of spheres and humans exist, and the wizards made Witchers and stuff. So there's probably a lot of empty timeline space that you can just jump in.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be a win. Honestly, you get to see some different kind of monsters because of it.
Well, think about that
obviously-
animated series they did with Vesemir.
Oh my god,
Like-
dude, that Netflix animated.
Give me a
series.
prequel where you play as Vesemir. I'm in.
Yeah.
Totally.
Young Vesemir.
Absolutely.
100%. So I'm excited, but we'll have to wait to hear. And of course, do not pre-order games from companies when they put out bad games on release. So,
Yeah.
As much as I love CD Projekt Red, hold
you
on to
know?
your money.
And it also seems like simultaneously they're going to be working on one more at least announced content patch for Cyberpunk. So it's probably going to be a long time before we get another Witcher series.
Yeah, it sounded like they were moving towards having like kind of a more than one development team.
That's kind of what I got from what I read, but it wasn't totally clear to me. Yeah. And there's some of the studios often work on multiple games at a time. The nice thing is they have committed to a zero crunch work environment this time after all the backlash they got for Cyberpunk. And I'm hoping they stay true to that. We'll see. You never know with these game studios, but it seems like they've definitely changed their attitude towards getting content out more to a casual flow like they had for the Witcher series and less like a Cyberpunk.
The key is that the teams never want to release a broken game. They never want to release an unfinished game. It's the money that pushes them to do that.
100%.
So you have to respond with your wallet, which means don't pre-order games. Make them realize that they need to put out a finished product.
Yeah, make them work for your money.
Absolutely. And if you do buy the thing, then that's your fault, not theirs. So don't blame them. It's on you.
You do speak with your wallet.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of wallet,
It
looks like you might have some spare dollars coming to you if you're in the market for a graphics card.
Oh, that would be nice.
Not only have graphics cards prices come down, they're also available right now, this very second. And so while they're still almost double their MSRP, they're not 3 or 4 times their MSRP. Now I am looking at partner cards. So this is like the likes of EVGA, Gigabyte, not NVIDIA proper itself, where our MSRP doesn't matter as much. These guys do get to decide on their own pricing. They are more expensive to manufacture than from the manufacturer because they have to buy the patents or, the technologies from the manufacturer and then manufacture them. So what we are seeing, though, is right now, I have the Amazon page open. Probably the most sought after of the new cards is the RTX 3080. It's kind of the flagship, what everybody's been looking forward to. And I have that pulled up on Amazon right now, and there is no limit to how many vendors currently have them in stock. Now, some of them have warnings that, only 1 left in stock, 4 left in stock, 13 left in stock. So it's not like they're shipping mass quantities, but they're available. And from multiple board partners, from multiple vendors, and like quite a number of them on Amazon. So
Do you know what happened?
Well, there's a couple things. So there's Ethereum. There's proof of stake happening apparently in June or July. That's going to change the effectiveness of graphics cards in the Ethereum mining market, which has been the main market that graphics cards have been used for in recent history. Bitcoin moved to proof of stake a long time ago. And then what's called an ASIC miner, which is essentially a mini PC. Usually lots of cores, sometimes multiple processors, very powerful compute units that are typically using not x86 or consumer-based hardware. They're using ARM architecture hardware. And they're purpose-built for mining. These ASICs have been around for several years now, and they've grown in popularity because of Bitcoin mining. What proof of stake means for Ethereum is the same thing. Is graphics card mining will be significantly less effective in the Ethereum per hour, however you want to quantify that. I'm not a cryptocurrency expert here by any means.
Bitcoin scientist,
right? But what I do understand is that it's much less effective to use a graphics card to mine a cryptocurrency that is proof of stake.
Okay.
So there's that. There's the fact that NVIDIA has promised that they would be shipping more graphics cards and that their board partners would have more availability and lower cost to manufacture their graphics cards. There is also, there's a lot of factors here at play. There's the availability of parts from China, the fact that iPhone 13 is out, and it's not in mass production as much as it had been before. That Samsung's latest devices, the S22 series, is out, and they're not looking for these chips as much. So chip availability has increased. The demand has gone down in the crypto scene. And they've been working toward shipping more from the get-go because of the severe shortage. So it's a few things. So that's why we're seeing both availability and price coming down, which is excellent. Now, we still have we have to factor in the fact that Intel is coming out with their Arc series of cards and has promised that they're going to be shipping 4 million on launch. So they're going to have 4 million cards ready to potentially saturate the market. And if the likes of AMD and Nvidia can't compete, and suddenly the only graphics card that's available new on the market for you is Intel, then they immediately become a massive part of the market share.
Yeah.
So to stay competitive, Nvidia and AMD have to respond.
Yeah. By increasing production.
Which they've been ramping up steadily. Like the demand is there. The demand, even in just if you consider the consumer market, is the highest it's ever been.
Yeah.
Stay at home has increased massively. Working from home has increased massively, and we've seen the advent of not the advent, but streaming growing in massive popularity.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that is through a dedicated graphics card. Along with gaming, I mean, people in their downtime during COVID had the opportunity to build gaming PCs.
Yeah.
Especially since they were already looking at having to buy new computers. A lot of people kind of wanted the best because now their livelihood depends on a computer at home. And when your livelihood depends on it, you tend to go a little bit more cutting edge than what'll squeak you by.
Yeah.
So we have seen a lot more of that.
How do the other companies compete with Intel? It doesn't seem like something like just increasing production is something they can just turn on.
It isn't something that they've turned on. They've been ramping up production since. Like NVIDIA's been building new facilities the last 2 years.
Sure, I imagine they're constantly trying to expand as fast as they can to support the market demand.
But so what we've seen is the chip shortage is better, thus meaning they have more supply, which can fuel the additional pipelines that they've set up now in their ability to produce. So they're able to get more out than they had been previously because of both of those factors, and it's bringing down the price as well.
Now, does Intel produce the chip that's in their card?
Intel, well, so that's hard to answer. So Intel has their own manufacturing facilities all over the United States. They're a US-based company. Most of their own manufacturing is done in the United States. That isn't to say that things like memory modules, which are going to be on these chips, come from the US, right? So they do depend on other manufacturers to come out with those. The biggest ones are SK Hynix and Samsung. And so they do have to rely on those, and those partners rely on other people's MOSFETs and other components, right, to make their stuff. So it is a very large shared industry, very interconnected. Yeah, 100%. But the chip manufacturing is at an all-time high rather than at its lowest point in like modern history. So availability is better, prices are coming down, and we're just starting to see, fortunately, the benefits of a smaller consumer market, thankfully, because of crypto going the way it is, and mass supply. So prices should continue to come down. Supply should continue to come up, especially when we already know NVIDIA is about to announce their next generation of cards. AMD always has one around the corner. They come out with new versions of their cards even more frequently than NVIDIA does. And you have Intel joining the race. So while Intel is taking a little bit of the pie from as far as suppliers go for their parts, non-processing parts,
it's nice to have a third horse in the race.
There's more, 100%. We have yet to see, like, there are early benchmarks of the Arc architecture from Intel, and they look promising. But until it's applied real world, until people have the cards in their hands, in their computers, and good drivers, that's going to be a huge thing. Yeah. But good drivers to run these cards, we'll see, right?
Yeah,
but,
until the rubber meets the road, right? That's where it's at.
We
so.
won't know, but at the very least right now, there's pressure on the current industry to get those cards out and bring down the price. So,
And, I mean, competition
breeds innovation.
it breeds innovation, and it's good. It is good for prices.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Especially when it's true competition.
yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
So we'll see how it goes ultimately, but right now things are looking up.
And I mean, that's really positive. It's really nice. I like that. Because it's I don't know, man. Weird time these days. So
Yeah.
any positivity, even small things are nice, I suppose.
Yeah. In other news, graphics card wise, AMD is pushing out FSR 2. That is their competitor for DLSS from NVIDIA. What that means is it's their Fidelity FX Super Resolution, which allows you to run games at higher
Maximum
resolutions.
plaid.
Well, it just
Maximum plaid.
it improves efficiency. Let's say that.
I'm punching your nerd card.
Star Bowls, Starbucks, Starbakes.
You're out, Josh.
Okay.
You're done.
Just
You're
gets a
done.
punch on his card.
That's too many punches. You know how many credits he owes. So, Fidelity FX Super Resolution, it basically runs the game in a lower resolution and scales the resolution upward, meaning that the system requirements for running games at higher, what am I thinking here? Higher fidelity is a little bit easier on your graphics card. That's big news, especially considering that AMD is fueling the GPU market right now, especially in APUs, which are CPUs with integrated graphics. So things like the Steam Deck will take advantage of this to run games better, more efficiently.
And big in it.
Yeah, and big in it. And that's good because in other news, it's all very tangential here, but it is. I promise it all comes to a head. The Steam Deck now has Game Pass on it.
What?
So Xbox Game Pass, you can download the Edge browser to your Linux-based handheld computing system, so you can run Game Pass games on your device.
That is pretty interesting. I would not have seen that coming.
That's
was
what
a lot of
happens.
words.
I know it is. But that's what happens when you have Steam, who's invented an open platform that's Linux based on an x86 platform that everybody knows how to code for, and says, yeah, whoever wants to put stuff on this, cool.
Oh, so this isn't like some sort of Microsoft brokered deal. It's just people like side loading the Game Pass.
No, Microsoft said, we'll make Edge for Linux.
Oh.
So they made Edge for Linux.
It's because they have Edge.
Yeah.
That it makes it possible.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, but that's because you've always been able to run Xbox Game Pass games within a browser. So anything with a browser can run Xbox Game Pass. This because
Gotcha.
it's the
I didn't
Edge
actually
browser
know
is
that.
compatible. Yeah. So Game Pass in your Steam Deck.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah. So
That's pretty dope.
You know, people have gotten Windows to run on it too. It runs like absolute garbage because the driver support for it isn't quite there yet, but it's
Next
a
week.
versatile little device.
You're going to be able to run the original Mac OS operating system through DOSBox on Opera GX through the Steam Deck.
Honestly, you probably already can. It's cool. I mean, they have pretty good emulation for early Mac OS versions within the browser. So,
I'm sorry I disappeared for like the last half an hour. You said proof of stake, and I was like, what is that?
I saw
And
you
then
reading.
I started reading about Bitcoin. I was like, oh, yeah, this is above me.
yeah, me too, man. I try to dig and learn, but good Lord.
I wrap my head around it. I think for layman, you have to prove that like your transactions are valid in Bitcoin. And the original way was proof of work, which is like you do an arbitrary math problem to show that you're willing to add to the blockchain correctly. Like, don't quote me on this. Again, I'm not a Bitcoin person.
Yes.
Proof of stake says, oh, you have a lot of like digital currency, then we just trust you. Like, it's just a stake. Like, I have a shit ton of Bitcoin or Ethereum, therefore I can add to the blockchain. At least that's,
you're part of the 1%? Come on in.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Welcome
that
to the
all
party.
aside, yeah, that's like I was reading a couple articles on how it works, so that's what I got from it. So,
yeah.
anyways,
So it's interesting times for graphics and new fledging.
It's interesting time for
technologies.
fucking Pokemon. I want to talk about that, but go ahead and finish.
No, definitely do. I was
Okay.
finishing my point. So, it's
We
what
are,
we're seeing is really cool.
Yes, I'm excited for all that. We are the Pokemon main generation. I got it
Yeah.
when I was 8. I was going on a camping trip. Worst decision my parents ever made because I had a Game Boy Color and they bought me Pokemon Blue, and that thing was glued to my face for the next 6 months. But I've played a lot of Pokemon mainline games up until I think X and Y, and they're all the same. Like they're good, just like they keep making the same Call of Duty and they keep making the same Far Cry and the same Assassin's Creed. I was under the assumption that I was never going to see Pokemon 2. Well, I recently played Pokemon Arceus.
Arceus.
Tangential or sine, cosine, whatever you want to call it. It's Pokemon 2. I only have a few hours into it, 3, 4, 5 hours. But again, I can't stress how much I've played, especially like the original 3 games, or at least those. I've played a lot of modded versions of Fire Red, Leaf Green, Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, Diamond, all those. But this is new. You start off like in the past. You're like in essentially ancient Japan. They don't know what the fuck Pokemon are other than they're terrifying. And you get isekai'd, portal fantasied into the world. And not only is it fully 3D, but just everything is different. And it's just different enough that I feel like I'm actually playing a new Pokemon game. And, you know, I'm a bit old for it. You know, you still have to go through all the battles and there's a lot of time wasted, and it's still definitely a Japanese RPG. Billy just to run around, you're like, oh, look, a bird. And you just huck a Pokeball at it you made out of acorns and you just catch it or not. And you can just keep running. Like, you're like, oh, there's a Pokemon there. Huh, take that. You just catch it. And it's just, it's weird. I don't know how to describe it other than it just feels slightly wrong. Because again, you know, I've played a lot of the side Pokemon games, and they've definitely been evolving since Pokemon Go and the Pokemon Let's Go series, Eevee and Pikachu. But to play something so radically different from the mainline games, it just felt, I don't know, it felt foreign. It was like if like Halo was VR, you know, like it's still Halo, but you're like, this isn't
Same,
what
but different.
I experienced. Yeah. And I definitely want to put some more time into it. I'm going to have the opportunity. We'll see how it pans out. But
I am interested.
we have spent so long as like our age of internet people clamoring for the people who originally played Pokemon are adults now. We're in our 30s. You know, give us something slightly different. And they did. And hopefully it pays off. I know it's getting great reviews. A lot of people bite it. It's been out a while, but it was new to me. And it was very exciting to be able to play something that I know, but is different.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Right on.
I've got one more little bit of news. Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about?
I do not. Tidbits are out.
Ocarina of Time.
Oh, yeah.
We know it. We love it. It's on the PC. Thanks to fans that have taken the original code from the ROM and ported it to PC. So this is technically original code to get it running on PC. Now, we all know, because we've talked about it on the podcast before, and you guys are avid listeners, that Nintendo doesn't put up with that shit.
No, they send Bowser to your house to fist you.
So, or they jail another guy named Bowser, because that's what they did recently for emulation. So, it's on PC right now. You can only download it through the creator's Discord currently. They are being very reserved with the availability, and
say no, it's going to get fucking taken down.
yeah, they're hopeful that it won't. And their only hope is because it is original source code.
They use some kind of third-party program with a weird name I saw to pull the source code, and they feel like that's going to get them into a loophole that allows them to not get.
It is a
sued by
weird name.
Nintendo.
Ship of Harkinian.
Ship of
Harkinian.
Yeah, that one.
Works by extracting the game's native assets from the Nintendo 64 ROM, which you will need to own to run the PC port, is what they're saying, right? You have to have proof of, I don't know what how you provide proof of owning the cartridge,
a ROM
right?
of Ocarina of Time.
I also have Photoshop, bitch.
Yeah.
I actually have my old N64 cartridge somewhere, but
it's going to be video game history when somebody finds a way to make a Nintendo game where they don't get sued by Nintendo. If these guys pulled off, all the more power to
Fuck
you.
yeah.
I am not betting for you. I'm betting against you.
Me too.
Find that Discord server and download this before the opportunity is lost.
Now, you're betting against them, but you're rooting for them.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to Nintendo. Now, I'm not advocating you do this, right? I'm not advocating for theft. But what I do believe in, especially, is emulation. And especially with Nintendo games. Nintendo, after it comes out on their initial platform, has a fucking bad track record when it comes to allowing you to play those games later.
It's a very gentle way of putting it.
Yeah. Or they charge you an astronomical amount, an unreasonable asking price for a game that you already own to play it on their latest console. I don't understand why I have to pay nearly $15 a month to play Ocarina of Time on the Switch. Especially when the only real good way to play it is to buy their fucking controller. Something that doesn't come with the Switch.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it. I think most people do, right? It's nice to have access again, sure. But I am not going to thank Nintendo for that. They made the game already. I don't quite understand why we don't have any semblance of backwards compatibility with their titles. Especially because their old games are so beloved. It's just money grabbing over and over and over. And I love Nintendo. They, as far as the company goes, I don't think there's another one that makes consistently high quality titles at the rate that they do.
Dude, it's the fucking Disney. It's the Disney model, bro.
Yeah,
they fucking
kind of.
open the vault.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh hey,
dude.
hey, you can buy Beauty and the Beast for $19.94.
We, benevolent Nintendo, are giving you the opportunity to buy again the title that you loved.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then otherwise, it's going back in the vault, and you won't get to play it until the Nintendo Swatch.
Well, no, you can
Maybe.
not necessarily, because here's another issue that you have with Nintendo. Their online component has always been garbage.
Yes.
There's no reason why you can't play Wii U
bad.
games on the Switch, especially titles that you purchase in their eShop.
Yeah.
There's no good reason. They're using similar architectures. They're both ARM processors on both of those. There's no reason that those couldn't be easily ported, or you could just fucking re-download them from the Nintendo eShop. Your account isn't even associated. So you have two separate, effectively separate accounts that have their own unique gamer codes for both the Switch, the Wii U, and the Wii.
It's because these motherfuckers started off playing cards, and there's that whole fucking card trick where you have to find the queen, right?
Card Monty.
3-card Monty. They're 3-card Montying us.
If there's anything,
But that's
Nintendo playing cards.
that's like, well, okay, I know you were playing poker with that card deck, but you just bought our new card deck, so you can't play poker. Not for another year, at least, when we put out poker for the new deck.
if there's anything old gamers know, it's that Nintendo does things the Nintendo way.
Yeah.
And nothing will phase them from that because they make a shit ton of money doing that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, on top of the fact that they're in their own little unique calcified world as being Nintendo, which is the only gaming company that is like that because it is Nintendo, if that makes sense, right? You have to think of the entire history of Nintendo as a video game company. There's no other game companies that really compare, right? Like Sega doesn't compare because they haven't kept up with the times, and Microsoft and all the other ones don't compare because they weren't around as long as Nintendo.
Yeah.
So Nintendo exists in its own little fucking world, and they get to do what they want because they have their cash cows and they make their money, and we cannot convince them otherwise. And on top of that, you have like the weird slight cultural differences. Like even just finding out information, like you were watching Nintendo Direct and you can just feel it. You can just feel like this doesn't feel anything, whether that's good or bad is besides the point. It's just that it doesn't feel anything like an Xbox press release, right? They're not there to try to find a way to squeeze another dollar out of the American male market. They're like, here's the Nintendo thing. We're making Kirby and he can eat cars. Also, you can't buy a Metroid. Like, you just take what they give you. Emulation, I've talked about it before. I don't know about the podcast. I'm a huge proponent of saving video game history and Nintendo is lucky to live in essentially capitalism market, and they have been their whole time. Like in the perfect world, so much of their content would now be open, like source stuff.
Yeah.
It wouldn't mean copyrighted. Like stuff you made in the late 80s, early 90s, like the people who made those games are not getting, I could be wrong. I would assume they're not getting paid for making the original Mario's, original Duck Hunt, original Zelda anymore, right? I don't know. I don't know if they still work at Nintendo. I'm not down up on it, but like those kinds of things, they should be free to play because they are a part of like the international culture of video games.
Yeah.
This is like human culture we're talking about. This is a whole new form of media that is still in its relative infancy. And the fact, like you're talking about, like their emulation, their online stuff is always sucked donkey dick.
I mean,
it's so bad.
Let's go back to Ocarina of Time on the Switch.
Yeah.
The game was in an unplayable state for like 3 weeks after its launch. This is a game that came out in 1997, 1998.
The sheer number of outside people who have emulated Nintendo products to the nth degree that don't work for Nintendo, like just contact them.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, you managed to port Zelda perfectly to the PC. Can we just have that and we'll release it? You know, like win-win situation.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what I don't get. It's like there's a dedicated group of people like modding, like the modding community, these guys making the ROMs, porting it over. They're not rich people.
Well, okay.
I mean, some of them might be.
It's
Sure.
Just, it's just
But
not
it's
how
like,
Nintendo do, man.
I don't.
Well,
dude,
not
even
Nintendo's
other
way.
games, like fucking Take-Two would rather sue the shit out of
We started
somebody
on them.
Yeah.
and sell me like a pile
Okay.
of crap for $60 instead of like, dude, like the modded version of the old games looked 1,000% better.
So,
I mean, there's passion in the thing that they're doing, and it's like I don't understand where the it's like give them a little bit of money and let them. They're fans of your product. Let them help you with your product.
there is a little bit of explanation for that, okay?
Okay.
So the reason they don't want their games on other platforms isn't necessarily because they want to keep a closed ecosystem. It's a byproduct of that. So Nintendo is the only console manufacturer, because they not only do they manufacture their console, they're also the prime developers and the producers for most of their games that end up on their consoles. They are the only console manufacturer that makes money on their console from its advent to the end of the generation.
Wow. Okay.
Front and back, Nintendo is most concerned about their image of Nintendo products.
yeah.
That is the major factor for why they do not allow people to fuck with their old stuff, because they want 100% control over everything that is Nintendo.
They're ethnic cleansers.
That's a way to put it. But yeah, like the moment you start potentially damaging because a lot of people have made a lot of stuff based off Nintendo IP.
Yeah.
Not all of it gets taken down. It's the stuff that ever so slightly starts to get popular that veers in any way away from the family-friendly image that Nintendo has perfectly curated over the last half a century.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you get into that sphere of like, this isn't the image we want, and you're popular enough that people are noticing about it, they're going to take your head off.
Yeah.
Right? Because they are that adamant about their image. And
Well, they should definitely not search Bowsette on Pornhub.
True.
don't push them. Right? Who knows where they're gonna go?
Well, that's all the news that I have. Does anybody have anything else they wanted to talk about before we end this thing?
I got nothing.
I'm happy with my Bowsette comment.
I want to give a shout out to Sierra.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
The beer angel.
She's our beer angel. She,
Hooked it up.
oh man, she got me drunk. So,
We had drugs delivered.
yeah, true. So Sierra in chat. She's not with us anymore. Oh, that sounds like she died. Sierra has left the chat for the evening, but she wasn't earlier, and I want to give her a shout out. Thank you so much for providing beer
Blessed
and pizza
one.
to us. That was a lovely thing to do. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's see. It was Konahula who gifted a sub. We love you so much. And, shout out to you guys. Love you guys.
Words.
Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night,
everybody.
Teach it faster.
God damn it. Half a second.
It's all the speed I'm on.